Yeah, okay. I got a screen share in the host access. I hope my screen is visible to you all people. Okay, today what we are going to discuss is all about the syllabus, what we are going to see as per the Jenkins, as well as the project, what we are going to do as a project uh, at the end of this Jenkins syllabus actually. So that's what we are going to discuss today actually. So let me go to that particular page where the syllabus is present. Mm, It should be, yeah, here. Yeah, okay. So I hope you people have went through the syllabus, but as a rule, let me walk you through the syllabus actually. So starting, we are going to start with Jenkins introduction. What is the CI/CD? What is a continuous integration? And what is continuous deployment? We are going to see that. And then we are going to, towards the installation of Jenkins, we are going to install Jenkins in a two ways. One way is a single node Jenkins controller, and we are going to connect the agents to the Jenkins controller. These are the two ways that we are going to do. Okay, so we are going to create, that's what I'm saying, multi-slave architecture we are going to create. It will be very clear as of now. If you are very new to Jenkins, it will be very clear for you when we deal with uh, the concepts actually. So all the things which are there here, I'm going to show you people from the scratch. Okay, so from creation of virtual machines to installing Jenkins and connecting the Jenkins as an agent to our Jenkins controller. All these things we are going to see actually. So before going into the actual Jenkins topics, first you need to understand what is a controller, what is a slave, what is an executor, what is a plugin. So all such kind of technical terms you need to understand which are there as part of the Jenkins. So we are going towards the technical terms. Okay, we are going towards the technical terms as a third point as part of the Jenkins introduction. Okay, the after completing this, we are going to move towards the Jenkins deep dive. As part of this, we are going to we are going to create a freestyle projects and pipeline projects. We have multiple types of project that we can create as part of Jenkins. Freestyle projects, pipeline projects, and multi-branch pipeline projects. So all such projects we can create. We are going towards the UI. I'll be showing you uh, through in this course actually. So creating and working with pipeline projects, creating and working with multi-branch pipeline project. So exploring various options that we have as part of the creating pipelines actually. So we can uh what that this point means, how to manage secrets, how to manage variables, how to manage different things which are being used inside the pipeline. So that's all the things that we are going to see as part of this point which I mentioned here. So if I am speaking much technical here, if you are very new to Jenkins, please do not worry. It will be clear when we deal with the concepts. Okay. So now Jenkins integration. Okay. We are going to integrate Jenkins with the GitHub because where we generally our application code or whatever the code we have in the real time, that will be stored in the version control system. It might be the GitHub, it might be the Bitbucket, it might be the GitLab, whatever it might be. So we are going to integrate our Jenkins machine with the GitHub repository to fetch our projects, and we are going to integrate our GitHub Jenkins with the Sonar Cube. Sonar Cube is for the static code analysis to find out the bugs or the vulnerabilities that we call it as. So we are going to integrate our Jenkins pipeline with the Sonar Cube. We are going to integrate Jenkins pipeline with the S3 to store the artifacts. I have not put that point here, but yeah, we are going to integrate that with the S3 because uh, in our project, which I'm going to explain soon, our project, our pipeline is going to generate the artifact that need to be stored somewhere. Okay, the place where we are going to store is the S3 service in AWS actually. So we are going to integrate our pipeline with the S3. Okay, we are going to integrate our pipeline with the Docker Hub to store Docker images. First, we need to build it and then store the Docker images. And then we are going to scan those Docker images with the Trivy tool. Trivy is one of the tool that with which we can scan our Docker images. And then we are going to integrate Jenkins with the Kubernetes to deploy the application. we are going to integrate with Kubernetes. How we are going to integrate? We are going to use the mediator of Argo CD to integrate our Jenkins pipeline with the Kubernetes cluster, so that whenever a Jenkins pipeline it will be executed, automatically the deployment is going to happen without we interacting manually with the Kubernetes cluster and without we deploying the applications directly on the Kubernetes cluster. Jenkins pipeline is going to do that for us, or the Argo CD is going to do that for us actually. So that was the integrations that we are going to do with different other tools with the Jenkins actually. So the next part which we are going to see is the Jenkins configuration. Okay, Jenkins configuration. So configuring credentials in Jenkins to use in the pipeline. Suppose here I have told you integrating Jenkins with Docker Hub. In order to integrate Jenkins with the Docker Hub, you need to have Docker Hub username and password with the Jenkins actually. Jenkins should be able to use the Docker Hub username and password in order to integrate the Jenkins with the Docker Hub. So you should not directly hard code username and password in your pipeline in order to integrate Jenkins with the Docker Hub. You need to use Jenkins credentials. You need to configure them as part of the Jenkins credentials. Jenkins provides us a something called credentials where we need to store the passwords which will be masked, which once you store that will not be showing to you or everyone. So how to use that credentials option as part of the Jenkins that we are going to see as part of this point. Okay, configuring custom environmental variables with Jenkins pipeline. How to configure custom environment variables. Some of the default environment variables will be there by default that will be given by the Jenkins, but you also need to, sometimes you will be having most of the times, okay, you will be having a requirement to configure custom environmental variables. Okay, so how you can configure that as part of the Jenkins pipeline that we are going to see. Okay, configuring Jenkins pipeline with parameters. Okay, so sometimes when you are going to execute the pipeline, you need to pass some parameters to your pipeline so that the pipeline will be using those parameters and perform required actions on those parameters. Suppose you want to perform deployment in the CI environment, like development environment. So Jenkins has to be performing. You need to pass that input. Okay, so I want to perform deployment in this development environment, dev environment. So you need to pass that input as a dev, so that you need to write a pipeline in such a way that if the input is dev, the deployment should be performed in the dev environment, something like that. We are going to see that how to pass the parameters. So that's what the parameters that we have seen here. Okay, so we have multiple types of parameters. Okay, we have Boolean parameter, we have string parameter, we have multiple types of parameters actually. Okay, okay, so that's what the parameters that we have. Okay, file parameter and all the things. So configuring upstream and downstream projects. Okay, so suppose there can be multiple jobs that can be present in the Jenkins actually. So once the first job is executed, I want to automatically execute the second job. So how to do that is using the upstream and downstream projects. Actually, we are going to see that very clearly, how to configure this kind of situations as part of the Jenkins actually. So configuring predefined environment variables with Jenkins pipeline actually. So that is the custom environment variable. That's the thing actually. Okay, both are same. Here is a custom, what is a predefined. Predefined means the variables that are already given to us by Jenkins, and the custom means our own environment variables that we want actually. That's one thing. Okay, user and role management in Jenkins. Okay, how, suppose you are a developer or you are a tester. Testers or the developer should not have entire Jenkins console access. Developers should only be able to build the jobs. Testers should only be able to build some of the jobs. So they should not have entire admin access within the Jenkins. How to control that user or role management in Jenkins actually. So we have something called role-based access control plugin. So we are going to use that, and we are going to give the permissions to the developers or the testers to access some parts of the Jenkins, but not all inside the Jenkins actually. So using plugins with Jenkins, we are going to use multiple plugins like artifact repository. We have, as I've mentioned, role-based access control. We have Blue Ocean plugin, and we have multiple plugins like that. We are going to use that plugins as part of the as part of this Jenkins actually. Okay. So the next thing, exploring Jenkins stash and working with it. How what is Jenkins stash? Okay, suppose you have multiple Jenkins slaves actually. Okay, suppose you have multiple Jenkins slaves. Our job is executed. The first stage of the job is executed in the machine one, and that stage created a file. That file should be available in the stage two that is going to be executed in the other machine, other virtual machine or the other server. So how you can make available of the file which is there in the first slave to the second slave is using the Jenkins stash. Okay, so that's see, it's a theory which I've explained, but everything is going to the practical and uh from the Jenkins UI as well as the Linux machines and how to create the Linux machines and all the things I'm going to show you very clearly as part of this actually. Okay, now the very important part is uh, uh, this one actually. Jenkins troubleshooting and backup. Okay, so how to troubleshoot? What are the different issues that you may face when you are using Jenkins? How to how to solve those issues? How to understand why the issue has been happened, and how to go in a step-by-step manner to solve that issues that what the troubleshooting steps that we are going to face actually. Okay, suppose and the next is backup and restore required things from Jenkins. Actually, this is very important. Sometimes in real time, your Jenkins machine may not be accessible. Sometimes your Jenkins machine might be going down. In that cases, you should have backups of your Jenkins data so that you can restore that backup in another Jenkins machine by installing another Jenkins in the another machine actually. So how to take the backups? We are using the cron jobs and uh, export that backups of the Jenkins data from current machine to the S3, and we are going to create a new machine of the Jenkins, and we are going to import that from the backed up data to the S3 to the new machine, and we are going to see how the backups are going to work using this method actually. So all these things we are going to see actually. I'm going to show you the architecture diagram first, how we are going to do step by step manner from the current machine to S3 using cron job, and from S3 to the new machine of Jenkins by accessing that Jenkins or the AWS CLI in from that new machine. Actually, see all these things which we are going to see in practical, but here it's it's like a theory for you. It will be very clear in case of when we deal with the practical sessions actually. Okay, so these are all the things that we are going to do as part of this Jenkins syllabus within this uh, specified amount of time actually. So any questions here, please, before moving to the project explanation? Anyone have any questions related to this? Is that fine? Hello, do you people able to hear me?
Yeah, sure, it is okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Ye- Yeah, hi sir.
okay. I
Yeah, good
okay.
morning. So
Yeah, good morning.
how this syllabus will help means the automation testers, sir? Would you please give us little bit background?
Okay, automation testers, right? So first, uh, whatever the manual activities that need to be done during the testing, you should be able to know. If you know the manual activities, like do, first I need to do this step, after this step, after this step. Okay, so if you know these steps, okay, so manual things, you can easily put these steps as part of the Jenkins pipeline, as part of the Jenkins pipeline in different stages of the Jenkins pipeline. So in order to automate the steps which you do manually actually. So it will very helpful for you when you deal with the pipelines actually. Okay, you need to know the pipeline syntax that is going to be declarative pipeline syntax that we are going to write. So whatever the manual step that you do, you need to that steps you are going to define in the stages of the Jenkins pipeline so that it will be so that it will be like a automated way. Next time you don't have doing all these manual steps one by one by itself, you itself. What you need to do, you need to go there into the Jenkins console, you need to click on build. All these manual steps which you do will be automated through the Jenkins actually. So it will be helpful for you like that. Okay, it kind of uh, you are going to automate the manual steps that you are going to do with the Jenkins pipeline. Okay. Okay. So next part is the project that we are going to do. Actually, let me go to my paint. Okay, so let me remove all these things which are not required. One second. Yeah. Okay. See, here I am going to be a developer. Okay, this is me, and I am a developer. And this developer uh, has created a project. The project named uh, something like let's take a project named data store, something like this is a project of data store which is developed in a Spring Boot application. It's a Spring Boot application. Spring Boot is a framework of Java. Okay, Spring Boot application. Okay, this is Spring Boot application data store. Okay, so he has developed, and he also developer's responsibility is to write the unit test cases for that particular application. Okay, so that's kind of method the industry follows. Unit test cases will be written by the developer by using some frameworks, again testing frameworks like Mockito, PowerMock, and VoidMock, and JUnit they also use. So it's not our case. Actually, developers will write that unit test cases in the application code itself, and then they will push this data store application to the GitHub repository. The GitHub repository. Now, here I am taking an example of GitHub, but you can take whatever you want. Like me, I mean the Bitbucket or GitLab, whatever uh, the version control system that you use in your companies. Okay, so this is going to be my GitHub repository where my data store application is going to be stored. Data store application. And here this is a GitHub. I'm going to take a GitHub. Okay, once this data store application is being pushed by the developer to this GitHub repository, our Jenkins pipeline is going to be automatically started by using webhooks. We are going to configure webhooks with the Jenkins actually. So what is the use of webhook is whenever some change is happened in the GitHub repository, our Jenkins pipeline is going to be automatically triggered. Okay, our Jenkins pipeline is going to be automatically triggered. Okay, so here is where our pipeline is going to be started. Here is where our pipeline is going to be started. Okay, what our pipeline does in the project? What our pipeline does is first, our pipeline going to be fetching our project from the GitHub repository. Okay, our pipeline will fetch actually the data store project is there in the GitHub repository, which is pushed by the developer to this GitHub repository, right? So the pipeline in the first stage, these are something called stages in the pipeline. In the first stage, our project is being fetched from the GitHub repository to our Jenkins machine. That means onto our server where our Jenkins is running. Okay, this is fetching the project. Okay, fetching the project. Fetching means, in a simple word, it's a downloading the project. Okay, okay, in the stage one. Okay, fetch data store. Fetch data store. This is going to be the fetching. It's a for stage number one. Okay, this is going to be stage one. Okay, after fetching the project, we are going to build the project actually. We are going to build the project in the Jenkins pipeline itself. First, before automating all these steps, I am going to show you how to do this manually, okay, in my local machine. And then I'm going to show you how to automate from the Jenkins console. Okay, so after our project is fetched, our data store project is fetched from the GitHub repository. Let me write data store here as well. Data store project is fetched from the GitHub repository. Your project need to be built. Your project need to be built actually. Okay, so what tool we are going to use in order to build your project actually. So as this is a Spring Boot application, you can use two different tools. One is Gradle, or other one is the Maven. Okay, so we have created this data store application with the Maven Maven as a build tool. So we are going to use Maven uh, in order to build this project. Okay, we are going to perform Maven build in this project actually. So see all these things, how I am going to show you manually first, because you need to understand how to do them manually. Then you can automate that one using the Jenkins pipeline in our course actually. Okay, that's what we are going to do. First, you need to understand manual things. Now in build, we are going to perform our data store application. Okay, we are going to build our project here actually. So this is going to be my stage 2 in our Jenkins pipeline. Stage 2 in our Jenkins pipeline. So the third stage I have mentioned before, the developers are going to be writing the test cases. Here, I have already mentioned in this place, data store developer place, developers are also going to be writing test cases. Like they are going to use frameworks, JUnit, Power Mocker, Mockito, whatever it is. So that test cases need to be executed in this pipeline. So if this pipeline is not there, you have to execute the test cases manually. But here, as our Jenkins is there, our pipeline is going to be executing the test cases. Okay, so initial testing will be done using unit test cases actually. So Maven, the test cases are going to be executed using Maven only again. Maven test. We have something called Maven test cases are going to be executed as part of the next stage in our Jenkins pipeline. Okay, here this is going to be my stage number 3. Stage 3. Okay, so here once the test cases got executed, you need to we need to integrate you need to integrate our Jenkins pipeline with SonarQube in order to find any duplicate code is present in this pipeline or not. Okay, that means any vulnerabilities. What happened? Can you able to see my screen?
No, sir.
Why these people? 1 second. Yeah, 1 second. I think now.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is going to be the test cases, executing test cases as stage number 3. The next stage that we are going to have is you are going to integrate your Jenkins pipeline with the SonarQube. What this SonarQube does, this SonarQube is responsible for finding bugs in your application code. Like we call it as vulnerabilities. The vulnerabilities might be there in your dependencies. What are dependencies? All these things we are going to speak in the course, but yeah, the vulnerabilities might be there in the dependencies that you are going to add in your application, or the vulnerabilities might be there in your application code itself. So the duplicate code might be there actually, the redundant code. Okay, all these things will be analyzed by the SonarQube and showing to you actually as part of the SonarQube dashboard. So you can developer will look into that dashboard and fix the issues. Okay, so we are going to integrate your Jenkins pipeline with this SonarQube actually. This is going to be my SonarQube step, which performs static code analysis. Okay, let me write it here. Static code analysis. Okay, finding the vulnerabilities and the bugs, something like that. Okay, so this is going to be my stage number 4. Okay, so let me write it here. Okay, yes, stage number 4, something like this. Okay, once this 4th stage got completed, what you need to do in this Maven build stage, I have told you in the stage number 2, if you see Maven build stage, there is a file that will be generated. That file is called jar file. Okay, the jar file. Okay, what is the jar file? Is in Java, when you package the entire application into a single file, okay, that becomes a jar file. Actually, let me show you the jar file, how it will be there. Okay, let me go here. Let me go to here. It is there here. 1 second. You can see that here. Go to the target. You can see that this is the jar file, data store -0 0.0.6.jar. Okay, our entire application will be converted into a jar file. This jar file is nothing but an artifact. Just think, it's like a zip file. A zip file contains multiple files, right? So it's like a zip file where our application code is present. Okay, in Java we call it as jar file, in which our application will be present actually. So this
Sir, we can
Maven
build
build,
the war file also, right?
yeah, we can build war file also, but yeah, I am going to build the jar file. Whatever you want, you can build. Okay, so that's depending on your requirement actually. Yes, you are right. Okay, so in this Maven build stage, we are creating a jar file in this stage number 2. Okay, this jar file, which is created using Maven build in the stage number 2, need to be stored somewhere, So that place we are going to store that jar file or the var file, which you have mentioned, is in the S3 buckets. Okay, where we are going to, this jar file or var file is nothing but, and we call it as artifact. Okay, artifact. Okay, these files are we are going to store in our S3 bucket. In order to store in the S3 bucket, first we need to integrate our S3 bucket with this Jenkins actually. Okay, how to integrate that one? I'm going to show. After that, we are going to store that jar file or the var file into this S3 bucket. Okay, this is the stage called storing 1 second, artifact. Okay, storing artifacts into S3. This is going to be the stage number 5. Okay, this is going to be the stage number 5. Once this storing of artifacts into the stage number 5, in this stage number 5 into the S3 bucket got completed. So this storing got completed. The next stage is going to be is building a Docker image out of our Spring Boot application. Okay, so Docker image is a way of deploying an application. Okay, you are going to deploy as a Docker container into the Kubernetes cluster actually. So we are going to build a Docker image using this pipeline actually. How to build that? We have some. We are going to do that as part of the Jenkins pipeline. I don't want to go to any technical stuff in this class actually. So now let me go here. This is going to be the stage number 6, building Docker image. Building Docker image. Okay, something like this. This is going to be my stage number 6. Stage number 6. Once this building of Docker image got completed, the next stage we are going to scan this Docker image. Scanning means if any vulnerabilities are there as part of the Docker image. So here in the static code analysis, we are scanning the application code. But here in the after in this stage, 7th stage, we are scanning the Docker image. Okay, we are going to scan the Docker. That is different. Okay, scanning application code is different in the 4th stage, and scanning of Docker image is going to be different actually. So we are going to use a tool. This is going to be the stage number 7, or let me write here, Trivy scan. We are going to integrate that with Trivy. Okay, so we are going to scan this. Okay, and this is going to be my stage number 7. Stage number 7. Okay, once the scanning of your Docker image got completed, in the stage number 8, what you are need to do, you need to store the Docker image which is built in the stage number 6 somewhere, right? So we are going to store the Docker image into Docker registry. Okay, we are going to integrate our Jenkins pipeline with the what is that, Docker registry, and we are going to store that inside the Docker registry. Okay, so
Sir,
this
what is the
is
Trivi?
Privy is a tool. Trivy is a tool with which we can scan our Docker images.
Sir, we can use other tool also like JFrog.
JFrog, no, JFrog is for storing the artifacts, okay, or
Okay.
storing the Docker images, but not the scanning of Docker images, right? So we
Mm.
are using the Trivy to scan the Docker images. So you can store the artifact, you can store the artifacts in JFrog, you can store the Docker images in JFrog, but not scanning. Okay, so you can we can scan with Trivy, and we have some other tools also. I'm not
Okay.
remembering the name to scan the Docker images, but yeah, we have some other tools, but not the JFrog.
So to storing the artifact, we are using the JFrog, and
No,
we
no,
can
for
use
storing the
the
artifacts, we are going to use the S3.
S3. Okay.
Yeah.
But we can use JFrog also, right?
Yes, whatever you want, you can use them. We have multiple options in the market, okay? So
Okay.
we can use multiple things.
So will you show us using JFrog as well?
Yeah, let's try to show that. Let me try to deal with the JFrog as well, actually. So yeah, I'll try to do that. Fine for me.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So now store in the next stage, storing images. Images, this is the stage number 8. Okay, stage number 8. So once the storing of the images got completed, uh, you need to delete the images which is generated in the 6th stage. You need to remove the images from the Jenkins machine so that you will be saving the space. If you keep on building this pipeline, the pipeline will be keeping on building the images and keeping on storing the images on the Jenkins machine. And in the future, you may face the issues related to the space, okay, on the machine, on the virtual machine, actually. So you need to delete the Docker image once you have stored the Docker image into Docker Hub. So the next stage is that one, cleanup activities that we are going to do on our pipeline. Okay, the next stage is going to be the cleanup activities. Okay, so this is going to be my cleanup activities stage number 9. This is cleanup actions. Okay, this is going to be the stage number 9. Stage number 9, actually. Okay, once this cleanup activities got completed, a downstream job is going to be started in our Jenkins pipeline. Okay, in our Jenkins console, we have two types of jobs here. This is something called upstream job, which we have seen all these compartments, all these stages, stage 1 to 9. This is upstream job. Okay, upstream job. Okay, so this is all this top job is called upstream job. Okay, once this job got completed, we have another job, that is downstream job. Now, what we are going to have in this downstream job? We have another Git repo where we are storing all the YAML files which related to Kubernetes YAML files, Kubernetes deployment YAML files in this one of the Git repo. This is the application Git repo where we are storing the application code. And this is another Git repo where we have our manifest files in order to deploy our applications. Okay, command minus. Another, this is also GitHub. Okay, so command command minus. So let me decrease the font. Okay. Okay, this is a Git repo where our deployment files will be there. Deployment files. Deployment files will be there. As a DevOps engineer, I am going to maintain. As a developer is going to be pushing application code. As a DevOps engineer, which is responsibility of the DevOps engineer in order to have this maintain this deployment files in the Git repo, which is used by the this guy. Where is that? Okay, this is the Git repo. Once the first upstream job completed, it automatically triggers the downstream job. Okay, here is where our Jenkins pipeline is going to be started. Okay, so this is the stage number 1 in the Jenkins downstream job. Okay, what this stage number does is, let me tell you. Okay, 1 second. Okay, this is stage number 1. Okay, once this upstream job completed, here stage number 9 got completed, it automatically, Jenkins pipeline will be automatically triggering the downstream job in the same Jenkins. Okay, so here something like this. It will be automatically triggering. These are two different jobs. Okay, so first one is upstream, where our applications is going to be executed, and the second one is going to be the downstream job, where the deployment is going to be happening with this actually. So in this stage number 1 of our downstream job, okay, what will happen is this stage number 1 will fetch all the deployment files which is there in the GitHub repository. Will be fetching all the deployment files which is there in the GitHub repository. Fetch here in the stage number in the upstream job, fetching the data store application, but here in the downstream job, it will be fetching the deployment files. Okay, so fetch uh, deployment files, something like this. Okay,
The
I'm not
deployment
sure if
file means build a
it's a
jar only, right?
no. No, these are something called manifest files. It will be looking something like this. Okay, let me show you the sample. Here it is something like this. It will be looking something like this, which is used. These files are used to deploy our applications into the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, your Docker image, which is built in the stage number 1, will be placed something like this. So yeah, deployment files will be something like this. Okay, it's not a jar or whatever it is you mentioned.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Okay, so this deployment files will be present in this GitHub repository. Okay, like YAML files, we call it as, or the deployment files, whatever it is. Okay, here in the first stage, the deployment files will be fetched in the downstream project first stage. The deployment file will be fetched to our Jenkins machine. Once the deployment files is fetched, okay, our Jenkins, what it does, it updates the image tag which is built in the stage number 6. Okay, the new tag is built in the stage number 6. Okay, that image tag will be updated in this deployment files, where it is going to update in this place. Image is going to be the same, but the tag, different version of the application is released, right? So it's, see, if you are not getting here, please bear with me. You will be clear in the sessions actually. So here, this is going to the stage number 2. This is the stage number 2, STAGE stage number, sorry, 2. Which is going to be updating the image tag. Okay, so in the fetched deployment file, see, in the stage number 1, the deployment files will be fetched, and in the stage number 2, in the fetched deployment files, the tag will be updated. Okay, so here image tag will be updated, image tag updation, something like this. Okay, once the image tag is updated, we have another stage in this downstream project, that is stage number 3. Okay, we are going to commit the changes. One second. This is going to, we have changed the manifest files. We have changed the deployment files or the manifest files. Okay, so deployment files, manifest files, or whatever it is, YAML files, everything refers to the same meaning which I'm talking about. Okay, so let me put it here. This is going to the third stage. Okay, this is going to the third stage. This is going to the stage number 3, STAGE stage number 3. So this stage, what it does is it commits the file, commits the updates, commits COMMITS, and pushes and push. and push changes, where it pushes to the same GitHub repository back, okay, to this GitHub repository or something like this. It pushes to the same GitHub repository, something like this. The updated file, updated manifest file, which is performed in the stage 2. Updation, image tag updation will be performed in the stage 2. The stage 3 pushes the same GitHub repository to this deployment, like in this GitHub repository. Now, after updating this deployment files, we have our Kubernetes cluster ready, this is our Kubernetes cluster, which will be there. Okay, this is going to be our Kubernetes cluster where our applications are going to be running as a pods or the containers. Okay, inside the pods, containers will be running. Okay, this is going to be my Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so here this is the K8s cluster. Okay, we are going to have this Kubernetes cluster. We are going to install a component called Argo CD. Okay, this is going to be the Argo CD. Okay, so what this Argo CD does, okay, what the use of this Argo CD is, whenever it finds any change in this deployment files, it automatically fetches those changes, and it automatically performs the deployment of our application code, the changed image or the changed code to this Kubernetes cluster. Okay, something like this. It is going to performing the deployment, something like this. This I'm drawing here, and our actual users will be sending the traffic to this application, which is there in this Kubernetes cluster. Something like this. And this user is going to send the traffic or send the request to this application, which is updated here. This is our application that will be running, which is updated by Argo CD with a new version of the application that is being released. Okay, so this is the application.
Sir, you are going to cover Docker and Kubernetes also, right?
No. It's not entirely Docker and Kubernetes. Whatever required for this project, whatever the Kubernetes things that are required for this project, whatever the Docker things that is required for this project, that will be covered. But Docker and Kubernetes are the huge concepts actually, which need to be having a dedicated sessions for them actually. Okay, so yeah, that's the thing.
Sir, you having any new batch on the Docker and Kubernetes?
Yeah, actually, after completing this 12 sessions, we are going to start a new batch of this Docker and Kubernetes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, this is the downstream project. This is the downstream job. This is the first job is the upstream job, and the second job is going to be the downstream job. Okay, downstream job command, yeah, something like this. Okay, this is going to be the entire CI/CD. Here, if you once set up this CI/CD pipeline, developer, once he does any code change, he just will be pushing the code to the GitHub repository. Until the deployment of that application to the Kubernetes cluster, everything is automated in this pipeline. If you see that particular things actually, okay. So first, once the developer pushes his code to the GitHub repository, our code will be fetched and Maven build will be happening. Maven test cases will be executed. Static code analysis will be happened. Storing artifacts will be happened. Building Docker image from our application is going to be happened. Privy scan of our Docker image is going to be happen. Storing images, these Docker images will be stored in the Docker Hub or whatever it is, wherever you want, you can store that. And the cleanup activities, once the cleanup activity is done, a second downstream job is going to be executed and fetching the deployment files, and the image tag updates will be happening, and it commits and puts the changes to this again back to the GitHub repository. Once the change is happened in the GitHub repository, our Argo CD component that is deployed in this Kubernetes cluster will be automatically detecting that change in the deployment files and deploying that applications or deploying that changes to the Kubernetes cluster, and your actual users will be sending the traffic to that application, updated application actually. So you can see that here the power of this project is entire automation from the storing of our Spring Boot application to data store, sorry, GitHub repository. Everything is automated until the deployment of our application to the Kubernetes cluster. This is how we follow in the industry. This is how we follow in our company. So, to automate everything from starting to end actually. So everything actually. So like this. So here I am going to show you for data store application. So whatever the application you take, you have take another application, you take user management application, whatever the application you have, everything, each and every steps is going to be same. Okay, everything, each and every step is going to be the same actually. Okay, so we will be having why I'm saying this is because we will be having multiple projects in our real time. As an example, I've taken data store, but you may have different projects. So all these stages are going to be stayed. If you have, you might be comparing this with this project with your company's project actually. So the pipelines are going to be almost same actually. So if you are attending for the interview, if you say this, if you say this type of pipeline in that particular interview, if they ask questions on this, so they will be like, everything about GitHub, sorry, Jenkins automation, something like that. Okay, so this is the project that we are going to do as part of our course actually. Okay, any questions anyone has, please?
What is this Argo CD?
Argo CD is a GitOps tool actually. It's one of the tool where we can it is going to detect any changes that is happened to the deployment files. It is going to perform. It's a CD part. Okay, it is for automatic deployment of our applications to the Kubernetes cluster. It performs automatic deployments of our applications to the Kubernetes cluster actually.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm not from the development background. So what is the difference between like deployment, uh, first the build and the deployment?
Yeah, you're asking about CI, continuous integration and continuous deployment. We are going to talk about the first concept is that only in our course. What is continuous integration and continuous deployment? We are going to see soon.
Okay.
Okay.
So you'll
Yeah.
be covering the exceptional error handling if something goes wrong in the middle. So how to check the errors and how
Yes,
to...
yes. We have something called a log appearing. We are also covering that. Yes, you are right.
So what is this webhook and all? How to set up those things?
Yes, I'm going to cover that, how to set up the webhooks with your GitHub project. Yes, I'm going to cover those.
No, what is the concept like? What is
What
the
is the
reason?
concept is, whenever this Spring Boot application is uploaded or this data store application is uploaded by this developer to this GitHub repository, this Jenkins pipeline should be automatically executed. We no need of going to Jenkins console and clicking on build now. You no need of doing that actually. So if you configure webhook, any changes that is happened in this data store application will automatically create a Jenkins pipeline, like automatically builds the new Jenkins pipeline. Okay, so automatically start the build actually. So that's what the use of webhook actually. If the webhook is not there, if the developer has pushed his code to the Jenkins GitHub repository, developer also need to go to Jenkins and manually clicking on build now. Then only build will be started. If the webhook is configured, you no need of developer is no need to go to uh, Jenkins console and clicking on build now. Automatically the build will be started actually. So that's a use of webhook that you are going to have here in this place. Did you
Okay.
get that?
Yeah. But here in place of Argo CD also we can keep a webhook and get the changes from the downstream job, right? So why we are
Yeah.
using Argo
No.
CD?
Here, this is the GitHub webhook we are going to use actually. So this is Argo CD internally uses webhook only, but not visible to us actually. Okay. So we are not manually configuring that one. Argo CD internally uses the same thing, webhook only.
Uh-huh.
In
Okay.
this case, we need to manually configure. Here, you need of configuring webhook and all the things. Argo DC is going to do for us that for
What
us.
is on how you build actually with webhook?
No. I am not going to build with webhook.
No, how you are
Automatically,
going to
our
build
build
with
is going to be started.
no, okay, Maven only will use it. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Same thing again. Okay, what if the webhook is there, our build is automatically started. If the webhook is not there, I need to go to the Jenkins console and clicking on build now. That's the difference.
Okay, what webhook will do exact?
It automatically starts the pipeline building of our application. All these stages it automatically started with using this webhook. Whenever there is a change in the data store application in the GitHub repository.
But just imagine that if a developer has uploaded the wrong code into the
Yeah, then you need to configure webhook. That is why people won't configure webhook in real time as well. But as a configuration, I am going to show you. But if you want, you can configure, or if you cannot configure actually. You don't want to configure.
those mistakes will happen, right?
Yes, yes, definitely they're going to happen. That is why in real time people won't configure webhook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And one more thing I forgot to mention, this Jenkins machine, all this will be happening in the Jenkins machine. Oh, okay. This part, which I mentioned, this part will be happening in the Jenkins machine. This Jenkins machine, we are going to monitor this Jenkins machine with the Grafana. Okay, we are going to monitor this Jenkins machine with the Grafana. We are going to have something called Grafana. It is for like a monitoring dashboard where we can monitor this Jenkins machine, like how much amount of CPU is used by this Jenkins machine, how much amount of memory is used by this Jenkins machine, so that I can take, if the CPU usage is high, so I can take necessary actions to make the less CPU usage, to make that machine to use less CPU. Okay, so that also we are going to integrate. This Jenkins machine is going to be integrated with the Argo CD, sorry, not Argo CD, Grafana.
Graph.
What
Yeah.
is Prometheus and Grafana?
So yeah, it's a mediator. You cannot directly integrate the Jenkins machine with the Grafana. You need to have the Prometheus in the middle. Okay, so let me have that also. So you are asking very internal, so that's fine. Okay, so this we have something called Prometheus here. This Prometheus is going to fetch the metrics from this Jenkins machine, and this Grafana is going to be taking the metrics from the Prometheus, something like this.
Okay. Prometheus is the data collector, and
Data
from
collector,
there,
yes.
from
Grafana is
there,
going to be is a visualization dashboard, just a visualization dashboard. Grafana.
so internally some agents will be there, like jobs. They'll pull data from it, and then
Yeah, yeah. Exporters we call it as.
okay.
Hi, sir.
Yeah,
See, means I want to tell you one thing. Like I am working as a automation tester. Okay, right now.
mm-hmm.
So I know means CI/CD will pipeline will help me also. Uh, but the thing is, means the one of the reason is why I want to join this course is, see, as a automation tester, I have to execute the test cases on remote machine. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So means we have a several remote machine and we have to execute from our BDE machine on the remote machine. So
Mm-hmm.
thus means we are going to cover this kind of thing also, means
Executing test cases on the remote machines.
yes.
Yeah, yes. You are going to cover it actually. So how I can tell you now is
Because on the remote machine we
see,
have a edge.
suppose
Yeah.
one second. Let me tell you. Suppose you have a test cases that need to be executed on first remote machine, and the second set of test cases that need to be executed in the second remote machine. That's what. Okay, that's your use case. So here, first set of test cases you will be there. It will be they will be there in the stage number 2. Okay, this is going to be a first set of test cases will be there in the stage number 2. Let's think like that. First set, first test cases. Okay, so this set of test cases, you can configure your Jenkins, can be executed in one remote machine. And in this, here, this is the stage number 3 has second set of test cases. Second set tests. You can configure this second stage need to be executed in different machine actually. You can configure that. Okay, using labels. Okay, so you can configure that the first stage need to be executed, the first set of test cases in one machine, and the second stage, here the stage number 3, second set will be can be executed in other machine using labels. You can configure that in this particular stages. You can also do that. Yes, that's what you have asked.
Yes, because why I'm telling you, because we are using different tool right now. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I have seen on the remote machine, there is a agent. So if you execute from the BDE, so that
Mm.
will take the responsibility to execute your test cases on the remote machine. So and if you open, we can see our test cases is running. So
Yes, yes, we can do
mm,
that. Yes.
mm. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. One question
Anyone?
from my end
Mm-hmm.
also. I'm also working as automation tester and using GitHub Actions and Jenkins. So
Mm-hmm.
we does have requirement of triggering or executing the regression suite based on the deployment. So that's the one use case, and one is passing parameters like the environments like QA environment or
Mm.
dev environment. So those
Okay.
sort of things we'll be covering, right?
Yes, yes, definitely we need to cover actually passing parameters, passing environment. Yes, dev or prod or test stage. We need to pass through the pipeline. So this is what we have in the that thing. Let me show you. Yeah, you can see that here, configuring Jenkins pipeline with parameters. That's what it is. It means actually. So passing whatever it is, how to use these parameters, something like that.
Okay, and triggering that build based on the developer deployments.
Parameter.
Yeah,
Okay, based on the parameter.
no, based on the that once the dev environment deployment is completed, so the respective regression suite gets automatically triggered. I think that is covered under webhooks, right?
Yeah, no, 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 no. It is covered once the dev environment regression testing is completed. You
Those sort
want
of
to
requirement we have.
trigger another regression test in the other environment. That's what your requirement.
No, sir. So is once that deployment is completed in one of the environment, so
Mm-hmm.
triggering the build, regression suite build, uh, just after that deployment completion.
Oh, okay. That's what you're doing here in the downstream job.
Oh,
Once the thing is completed, you can perform the regression trigger in as part of the downstream job.
okay, okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, what is the duration of this course and class timings?
Between 10 to 15 sessions will be there, between 10 and 15, and the class timings will be 9:30 a.m. morning. And please do remember, today and tomorrow's will be the demo sessions. After that, link is going to be changed. Yeah, if you are liking this course, you can go ahead and you have the details in the chat. You can register for the course. That's what I can say. That's it.
9:30 to
10:30.
10:30.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. If no questions, let's leave today, and we are going to have the session tomorrow, last demo session. Please do remember. And thanks for joining. I'll meet you in the next class. Thank you.
Sir, you are going to share these notes also, right?
Yeah, notes will be shared to you. Uh, I'm
Okay.
going to, sir, one more thing I forgot to mention. I'm going to add you people whoever registered to the Telegram group. In that Telegram group, I am going to share the diagrams as well as the documents, which is explained actually. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
And sir,
Shiva, just want to know a little bit of about you. Like, what's your background? Like, you work as a software engineer?
Yeah. Actually, so I have about 8 years of experience actually. So initially, I have started as a developer, Spring Boot developer in my previous company, and then I moved completely towards the DevOps. There, the name is the developer. I use it to do both the developer as well as DevOps activities as well actually. Okay. Uh, in the other company. I am completely switched to develop DevOps because I did not find any role which does both development and the DevOps. So I completely switched to DevOps, and I was working as a uh, in the DevOps field now. I work with multiple tools like Jenkins, Kubernetes, Docker, Maven, or the Spring Boot applications as well. And I work with multiple things, Terraform, shell scripting, Python, and all these things actually. So yeah, that's the thing. Short introduction from my side. And I also hold certificates, uh, professional
Okay.
certificates. Yeah.
So apart from this course, what other course do you teach in
I
Durga?
teach Docker, Kubernetes, AWS, and I am going to start GitLab. Okay, so and Python and shell scripting as well.
Okay. So can you also include like introduction to GitHub? So I'm not from this background actually. Just want
Introduction to
GitHub.
GitHub.
How
Okay,
do you
let's see.
store you know files
Uh-huh.
in that GitHub, and then how do you fetch file that project?
Okay. Let me help you with the few commands with the GitHub, so that it will be giving you clear understanding what to do, what we need to do, what we need to use. So what different commands does. Okay. So I'm going to give you no problem.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay.
There is
Thank
one
you.
question that we can set up in our our own computer, right? It doesn't require the it doesn't require any specific set of computer to run Jenkins on our machine.
No, I'm not going to set up in our local machine actually. Please do remember, I am
Mm-hmm.
going to set up entire this Jenkins in the AWS virtual machine. Okay. I don't want to spoil my laptop by installing different softwares. Uh, uh, I'm going to install in the virtual machine because the real time does that. The real time in the companies, you don't install your Jenkins on your local machine, right? So just you will be installing your machine in the virtual machines only Jenkins.
So
Mm-hmm.
we are going to use a cloud managed service only, right?
Yes, cloud
So
services we are going to use.
so if I want to use the self managed service, then in local, how to do this?
See, you can also install in your local machine. You can also install something like virtual test. What is that? Virtualization software.
Oh,
VirtualBox. Sorry, VirtualBox. You can create a virtual machine there, Linux virtual machine, and you can install Jenkins using that. You can also does that. You can also do that, but yeah, I don't want to do in my local machine all those installations. That's why I'm using cloud. See,
So,
yeah.
so for us, is it possible that we can set up all those things in clouds?
Yes, it's possible actually. So one thing I can help you with is
Mhm.
I can install Jenkins, and I can give you the URL of Jenkins, and I will be sharing you the username and password, so that you can use the same username and password to log into the Jenkins, and you can create the pipelines. How many pipelines you want, you can create. It's a Yeah, you can create that one. You don't have installing from the scratch. If you want to install, you can also
Mhm.
install. You can create an AWS account. You can create a virtual machine, which I'm going to show you in the next stage tomorrow, and you can also
Mhm.
install from the scratch. No problem for that.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
sir, can you
Okay.
start your Docker and Kubernetes batch in the I think evening after 8 p.m. or 9 p.m.?
We are planning to start at 6 p.m., but I need to have some time. In the new year, I'm going to start, but not at
Oh,
8 or 9.
okay, sir. So currently you
Yeah.
are working also with the organization.
Yeah, I'm working also, so I cannot start. I need to check my timings also so that I can start the batches.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for joining. I'll meet you in the next class. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.